Last night I was sprinkling Parmesan over some pasta and I stopped for a second to look at the label. Parmigiano Reggiano. That name alone feels like a promise. This is the real stuff, not the dusty shaker kind. This is the king of cheeses. But what struck me was this. How do they even make it? And who is making it? Turns out, making Parmigiano Reggiano is a commitment. You can't just whip up a batch. First, it has to be made in a very specific part of Italy, the Emilia Romagna region, especially around Parma and Reggio Emilia. The milk comes from local cows fed a strictly regulated diet. No silage, no fermented feed, just grass, hay, and a bit of grain. Cheesemakers mix the milk with rennet and heat it in giant copper vats. They separate the curds, press them into huge wheels, and soak them in brine. Then comes the long part, the aging. A real Parmigiano Reggiano wheel has to sit in a special aging room for at least 12 months, sometimes up to 36, where it is turned, cleaned, and checked. If it passes the test, it gets the seal. This process is labor intensive. It requires constant attention, precision, and physical effort. And here's where it gets interesting. A huge part of the labor behind this iconic Italian cheese isn't Italian at all. It's Punjabi, specifically Sikh immigrants from the Indian state of Punjab. Starting in the late 1980s and early 90s, many Sikhs began arriving in northern Italy looking for work and stability. Italy's farming sector, meanwhile, was losing local labor as young Italians left rural areas for city jobs. There was a gap, and the Sikhs filled it. They already knew dairy work. Punjab is one of India's major agricultural regions, and many Sikh families have generations of experience with livestock. That knowledge translated almost seamlessly into Italy's dairy farms. Today, there are thousands of Sikh workers in the region. They handle everything: milking, cleaning, maintaining barns, and in many cases, actually making the cheese. Some have worked their way up from farmhands to full cheesemakers. Others now run farms and dairies. The community has become so essential that many locals quietly acknowledge Parmigiano Reggiano wouldn't exist at the same scale today without them. Of course, settling in hasn't been without friction. Sikhs in Italy maintain distinct religious practices, including wearing turbans and carrying a ceremonial dagger called the kirpan. In 2017, Italy's Supreme Court ruled that Sikhs cannot carry the kirpan in public, citing national security concerns. The court said that anyone choosing to live in Italy had to accept the laws of the state, even if that clashes with religious customs. It was a major blow for many in the Sikh community, who see the kirpan not as a weapon, but as a sacred duty. And still, the community endures. You will find Sikh temples, gurdwaras, in towns like Novellara and Reggio Emilia. Many of the kids speak Italian as fluently as Punjabi. There's even a growing second generation who are now native to Italy but rooted in both worlds. So the next time you are eating Parmigiano, real Parmigiano, you are tasting something that took years to make, that came from a very specific place, and that was probably made by someone who speaks Punjabi. This cheese isn't just Italian anymore. It's also a story of migration, of labor, and of how traditions evolve with the people who carry them. Got a weird midnight question keeping you up? Drop it in the comments. You might hear it here next time. Until then, keep wondering. I am Mari, and this is Midnight Question.